श्रीयुतापतकमलम् श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातम् सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं स्वावधूतं परिजनासाहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपीश गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shashwin, for the wonderful Mangalacharan. So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 2. Today's verse is 8. So till Mataji joins, I think we can complete the verse and the translation. Yes, Shashwin, go ahead.
हरे कृष्णा। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तम श्लोक्तेर् भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। हरे कृष्ण। केचित् स्वदेहान्तर्हृदय कशे प्रादये समात्रं पुरुषं वशन्तं चतुर्भुजं कञ्जरताङ्गसङ्का गद्दाधरं धारणाय स्मरन्ति। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shashwin, for the recitation of the verse. Okay, we can do the translation while we wait for the Mataji. Would anyone want to do the translation and purport?
Hare Krishna,
Guruji, I can read
I can do.
the translation and purport.
Okay,
Hare
go ahead.
Krishna.
Yes. Go ahead, do.
Sorry. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Others convince of personality of Godhead residing within the body in the region of the heart and measuring only 8 inches with 4 hands carrying a lotus, a wheel of chariot, a conch shell, and a club respectively. The all-pervading personality of Godhead resides as Paramatma in the heart of each and every living entity. The measurement of the localized personality of Godhead is estimated to expand from the ring finger to the end of the thumb more or less 8 inches. The form of the Lord described in this verse with distribution of different symbols beginning from the lower right hand up and lower down to the lower left hand with lotus, wheel of chariot, conch shell and club respectively is called Janardana, or the plenary portion of the Lord who controls the general mass. There are many other forms of the Lord with varied situations of the symbols of lotus, conch shell, etc. And they are differently known as Purushottam, Achyuta, Narsimha, Trivikarma, Rishikesha, Keshava, Madhava, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Sankarshana, Sridhara, Vasudeva, Damodara, Janardana, Narayana, Hari, Padmabha, Vamana, Madhusudana, Govinda, Krishna, Vishnumurti, Adyokshaya, and Upendra. These 24 forms of the localized personality of Godhead are worshipped in different parts of the planetary system. And each system, there is an incarnation of the Lord having a different Vaikuntha planet in the spiritual sky, which is called Parvayoma. There are many other hundreds and scores of different forms of the Lord, and each and every one of them has a particular planet in the spiritual sky, of which this material sky is only a fragmental offshoot. The Lord exists as Purusha, or the male enjoyer, although there is no comparing him to any male form in the material world. But all such forms are Advaita, not different from one another, and each of them is eternally young. The young Lord with 4 hands is nicely decorated as described below. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranams. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Welcome, Mataji. We hand over now to you. We have done the initial prayers and then the verse. We hand over to you.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you so much. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddha Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahkana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parichasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahkana Lalita Shri Vishakamatamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschayata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srinivata Swagata Krishna Punya Shrana Kirtanaha Hridayantastohi Abhadrani Vidumti Sugrit Satam Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Nashtiki. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Kritika Mataji, for kindly attending the session. I'm really sorry to hear about your mother-in-law's demise, but hope she rests in peace and goes to the abode of the Lord. And thank you, Vajayanti Mataji. After a long time, we are seeing you back again. Thank you. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, and all other devotees, my humble obeisances. So kindly bless me so that I'm able to speak the relevant words of Srila Prabhupada and our Acharyas. So today, we are entering into the second canto, second chapter. I just thought, let me just go over quickly what we have learned in the first chapter. So the first chapter, second canto, talks about the chapter is titled, First Step in God Realization. Now, the superiority of bhakti is spoken in the verses 1 to 11. So, how is the superiority of bhakti spoken? So, Sukadev Goswami is congratulating Parikshit for his questions. Oh, you know what? You have posed such a wonderful question, which is beneficial to all kinds of people and is approved by the transcendentalists. The answer to this question is the supreme subject matter of hearing. This is what Sukadev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj. Because, see, if somebody is in the class and they ask the relevant question, it is going to be beneficial for everybody. The answer that the person who recites Bhagavatam, he is going to give, that may be beneficial to everybody who's listening to Harikatha. Like that, the Sukadev Goswami is praising. Oh, you know what? You have posed such an excellent question. It's very, very important. The answer to this question is the supreme subject matter of hearing. After appreciating Parikshit's question, Sukadev Goswami is going to answer his question in the, he answers his question in the following verses. And then he asks, what shouldn't be chanted, heard, and remembered? Meaning, in a Grihamedi's life, what shouldn't be chanted, heard, and remembered? A Grihamedi is one who is blind to the ultimate truth and has thousands of things to chant, to hear, and remember. And how does he waste his life? How does he do that? He wastes his life by passing night in sex and sleeping in the day and then making money to maintain his family. This is how he is wasting his God-given life. We have a precious form of human life that is given to us. And how are we utilizing to progress in Krishna consciousness? Because we are not this body. We are not this mind. But what we identify is with our body. Oh, I have to eat 10 times a day or 4 times a day. And then I have to, there are so many deals going in the market and I have to buy all of them to decorate my body. This is what is our thinking, right? And then what about the mind? Whatever the qualities of the mind are, we identify with that. I'm a rich person. I'm a CEO. I'm a bank manager. Whatever the qualities of the mind is, I'm a very obese person. If the mind says that, then yeah, I'm that. We identify with our mind. So this is how this Grihamedi is wasting his life, identifying with himself with the body. What all he does, passing his night in sex, sleeping in the day, and also maintaining his family. He works really hard. Thus, he develops great faith in the fallible soldiers of body, children, and wife, and do not see their inevitable destruction approaching despite having experience. Every day he sees people are dying, but still he believes, oh, my parents are going to take care of me. My children are going to take care of me. I'm going to maintain my family. If not for me, who's going to maintain? Every day he's seeing people are dying, but he never comes to the understanding that he is going to die or his parents or relatives are going to die or his children are going to die. But then he works really hard for his family. And then Parikshit also poses this question, what should be heard, chanted and remembered? So for that, one who desires freedom from fear and miseries must hear about glorification of the Lord and remember Lord Hari. What should be chanted, heard and remembered? What is the answer? We should always remember Hari. We should always chant the glories of the holy names of Lord Hari. This is the point. And then we talked about 3 different kinds of bhakti devotees. So bhakti with the desire for liberation. In that case, this devotee must meditate upon Paramatma. That's the first one we saw. And then Raganuga Bhakti. Who's this Raganuga Bhakta? He is one who is greedy to be fixed in devotion. And he always longs to hear about the pastimes of the Lord. That is the beautiful son Nanda Maharaj. So he follows the footsteps of whom? The Vrajavasis. This is a Raganuga Bhakta. And who is this Vaidhi Bhakta? One who desires the Lord, who causes fearlessness. He should hear about Ishvara, the supreme controller. So this person who is a Vaidhi Bhakta, he should understand that Lord is the controller. Right? And when we understand Lord is the controller, so these are the stages, dear devotees. Right now, we are all Vaidhi Bhaktas. So that's why we have to understand the greatness of the Lord. We haven't come to a spontaneous mood of devotional service where we are able to follow the path of the Vrajavasis. Oh yeah, Nanda Maharaj, I want to follow his footstep, or Yashodama, I want to know. We haven't gotten that spontaneous devotional service yet. We haven't gotten into Raganuga Bhakti yet. For that to develop, we have to understand and develop faith in Krishna. For that, we have to understand him to be the controller. And that is why we have this chapter, right? We talk about creation, we learn about so many things to understand the point that Lord is everything. Lord is the cause of all causes. And he is controlling and I am not the controller. When we understand this, then Vaidhi Bhakti's faith gets stronger and stronger. After that, it is being talked about the highest perfection of human life. Ante Narayana Smriti. We were told to remember Narayana at the end of the life. Ante Narayana Smriti. This is this is what we should strive for. And so many self-realized sages situated beyond the three modes take the pleasure in hearing Harikatha. Self-realized, they're all Atma Ramas. They hear pleasure. They take pleasure in hearing what? Harikatha. And then what is the theme then that is spoken? The next theme that is spoken is superiority of Lord's pastimes over Brahman realization. So for that, Sukadeva Goswami is telling, oh, I myself as an example, I can vouch for the fact that Brahman realization. What is Brahman realization? It's nothing in front of hearing the pastimes of the Lord. For that, I am the proof. Like that, Sukadeva Goswami is telling. I studied this Bhagavata Purana, the essence of Vedas from my father Vyasadeva. Although I was fixed in Brahman, beyond the modes, my mind still got attracted to the pastimes of Vasudeva. This is what is the glory of hearing Bhagavatam. Even a self-realized person who's Brahman realized, he wants to hear and relish Bhagavata Katha. That much is the glory of Bhagavatam. I am the proof for that. Parikshit Maharaj, if you have any questions in comparison of Brahman to hearing the pastimes of the Lord, you know what? Hearing the pastimes of the Lord is much, much superior than Brahman realization. And for that, I am the proof. Like that, Sukadeva Goswami is telling. And then he's telling the result of hearing Bhagavatam is that if one faithfully hears Srimad Bhagavatam, which I am presenting to you, one develops unflinching faith on the Supreme Lord. What are we all striving for? We are striving for that component of faith, isn't it? You, me, everybody. We want to increase our faith every day. This is what we are striving for, nothing else. For that to happen, you have to hear Krishna Katha. Okay, that's spoken in 10th verse. And then 11th verse talks about constant chanting of the holy names of the Lord. What does it do? It removes all your doubts and it removes the fearlessness that is seen in the heart of the devotees, and that is the way for success. This is what is the 1 to 11 verses. What does it talk about? The essence is bhakti is being glorified. All right. So that is the theme of the second canto, first chapter, first 11 verses. Now we are going to delve into 12 to 14 verses. 12 to 14 verses. What is the theme here? Quality of life matters and not the quantity. So here we have one muhurta. It is better to have one muhurta of life knowing about the best engagement than to have hundreds of years not knowing what you should engage in. Okay, very important point. So quality of life matters, not the quantity. You can live hundreds of years, but if you don't know what is the purpose for your life, what is the point? There's no point. So you can have just one muhurta left, but if you know what is the goal of your life, that is important. Okay, and for that, whose example is given? Khatwanga Maharaj's example is given. Khatwanga Maharaj had just one muhurta left and he freed himself in that moment by taking Lord's shelter. And how is this possible? It is possible because he has performed bhakti always. And hence he was able to immediately surrender. Right? I have one muhurta left. What will I do? Oh, you know what? I have to taste all these delicacies, all the gulab jamun, rasgulla, whatever. What is one indulged in will come to his mind first. If you are a person who wants to eat nicely, that's what will come to you. Okay, I have one muhurta left. I want to eat all these things before I die. Or I want to go to Italy, China, Japan. These are my to-dos. I have to finish all of that and then I'm okay to die. What do you do throughout your life determines what you want to, what is your goal of life. So this Katwanga Maharaj always had bhakti as his goal. And hence he said, okay, one Buddha is left, I just want to surrender to the Lord. He was able to immediately do it because he has been practicing bhakti. Now he's telling Parikshit Maharaj, see, Katwanga Maharaj had only one muhurta left and he utilized it in the right way. You know what? You have 7 days left, my dear Parikshit. Not just one muhurta, you have 7 days. So that's a big amount. Big day, compared to Katwang Maharaj's one muhurta, you have 7 days. So make necessary arrangements for your afterlife destination. See how he is comparing and letting Parikshit Maharaj know that, you are really blessed because you have 7 days, more than what Katwang Maharaj had. See, he slowly is bringing him. First, he talks about the glories of bhakti. Then he says, oh, quality of life matters, not quantity. Then he talks about Katwang Maharaj. Then he says, oh, Parikshit, you have 7 days, my dear. It's a big amount of time. You can definitely prove yourself and attain perfection and go back to Krishna now. You can do that. So he gives that confidence to Parikshit. This is how he's building up the team. Now, Sukadev Goswami now answers Parikshit's question that was posed in 1937 about the duty of a dying man by first describing the path of Ashtanga Yoga, which is an option. There are so many sages in the assembly and people in those sages, there were also Ashtanga Yogis, right? So he is going to give an answer by talking about Ashtanga Yoga for attaining liberation. Okay, so what's the duty of a dying man? And that question is being answered from 15 to 39. Okay, where he talks about the Ashtanga Yoga process. So we understand Ashtanga Yoga, the first step is one must cut all of his material desires with a weapon of detachment. And there are 8 steps that we follow through the Ashtanga Yoga process. Yama, which is to leave home and practice self-control. Niyama, you have to bathe regularly at a sacred place. Asana is sitting down in a secluded and sanctified place. Pranayama is remembering the Om mantra and regulated breathing. Pratyahara is withdrawing the mind from the sensual activities. Dharana is fixing the mind with intelligence on the Lord's form. Dhyana is meditating on each limb of the Lord without deviating from the conception of whole body of the Lord. And Samadhi is complete reconciliation of the mind in Vishnu without any other thought. Now, we talked about Dharana, right? Dharana is the one that destroys the contamination of mind which is agitated by Rajas and bewildered by Tamas. The yogi who sees Paramatma through Dharana quickly attains the desire for what? Liberation. Now, you need to understand, we spoke about this yogi who is affected by Rajas and Tamas, because of which he meditates on the Virat root form of the Lord. That is why he is not eligible to meditate on the personal form of the Lord, which is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. We talked about that point in the previous classes. So now there are some questions, 3 questions that are posed by Parikshit Maharaj. Let's understand what those 3 questions are. How is Dharana accomplished? That is given in the verse 2.1.23. And what is the bona fide Dharana Shreya? Virat Ropa for a neophyte yogi, that is what is the bona fide Dharana Shreya. And Paramatma for an advanced yogi, because that time once he from a neophyte he would definitely become advanced, right? Because he will get through the qualities of Rajas and Tamas, and after which he'd become advanced. At that stage he'd be eligible to meditate on who? On the personal form of the Lord, which is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Till then, which is the form he is meditating on? He is meditating on the Virat root form of the Lord. Then, how to quickly remove his contaminations of the mind? That is by the process of Dharana. So, Parikshit Maharaj asked about Bhakti Mishra Yoga out of curiosity, and certainly not because he wanted to practice it. This was one important point we saw. Bhakti Mishra Yoga, where Bhakti is secondary and Yoga is primary. And he asked about it. Is it because he wanted to practice that? No. He just asked out of curiosity. Of course, by asking that question, what is proved here? The glory of bhakti is proved. Because without bhakti, without a tinge of bhakti, even that yoga process that he follows is not going to work. This is the conclusion we came in. That is why Bhakti Mishra Yoga also, even if you perform Bhakti Mishra Yoga where bhakti is secondary, will yoga work without bhakti? No, yoga cannot work without bhakti. This is the point we came to. So that question also helps us to understand the glory of bhakti indirectly. Now, after perfecting the preliminary limbs of Ashtanga Yoga up to Pratyahara, one can meditate on the Lord. Then one should meditate on the gigantic Virat Roop, the gross material form of the Lord within the universal shell made of 7 layers. After that, we saw about the various limbs of the Virat Roop of a neophyte yogi who's still influenced by the modes. That's what we saw. Patala is bottoms of the feet, Rasatala is heels and toes, all that we saw. And I'm not going to go into that. Thus, Sukadev is saying, I have described the Virat Roop, which is a bona fide Dharanashraya for a neophyte or an attached yogi desiring liberation. Meditating on any other form will cause his degradation. We cannot use our own whimsical form and start meditating on that form, right? Whatever is prescribed in the scriptures that is given to us by bona fide acharyas is whom we have to follow. So with that, we concluded the first chapter of the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hope you understood the flow, dear devotees. This is very important because, as I told you, second canto is a very technical subject matter, but we'll try to understand to the extent possible what our acharyas are trying to say and what Srila Prabhupada's mood is. This way, we are able to see the continuity in the flow of the chapters. I'm not so pressed upon completing the verses, but I will definitely cover, don't worry about it. I will make sure that you understand all the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, all the chapters of second canto. Okay, so that is my assurance. I'll try my best. First, I have to definitely digest, but anyways, that's Krishna's mercy and your devotees' mercy. So we will move on to the second canto, second chapter. This is titled Lord in the Heart. Okay, so this is what is the chapter that we'll be delving into today's chapter. I know we have only half an hour left, but we will try our best, dear devotees. I'll slightly touch upon verse number 8. I think I may have time to cover only a few verses, but let's see. I really don't want to give away anything, but I want you to understand the flow here. Okay, so the first verse is essentially talking about so the translation by Srila Prabhupada says, Sri Sukadev Goswami said, formerly, prior to the manifestation of cosmos, Lord Brahma, by meditating on the Virat Roop, regained his lost consciousness by appeasing the Lord. Thus, he was able to rebuild the creation as it was before. Now, what are we going to hear about? We are going to hear about the advantage of meditating on Virat Roop. This is once again said. So the one advantage is that our heart is going to be purified. Second thing, what we are seeing Brahmaji is also every day waking up. He forgets about the creation that was done before the annihilation. So he'll be meditating on the Virat, and then he'll regain his knowledge, and then he will rebuild the whole secondary creation as to how it was before annihilation. So that means by meditating on the Virat Roop, he is able to remember back the knowledge how to rebuild the secondary creation, how to get the secondary creation done. So in this chapter, our Acharya Sri Sridhar Swami is saying, so in this chapter, we are going to see after cleaning the heart by meditating on the Virat Roop, how we can transition now. This yogi who is a neophyte, he has perfected this process and he now starts to meditate on Paramatma. So that is what is going to be talked about in the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Are you able to understand? See, we have this neophyte yogi who's meditating on what? The Virat Roop form of the Lord. And now he has perfected that Virat Roop meditation, and because of which, what happens? His heart becomes cleansed. And now he becomes eligible to worship on whom? The personal form of the Lord, which is Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And that is what is going to be described in this second chapter. Are you getting the theme, dear devotees? This is the understanding. Now, we are going to establish that the result of meditating on Virat Roop is going to result in what? Meditating on Antaryami of the Virat. Who's the Antaryami of the Virat? Who's the Antaryami of the Virat?
He is a Paramatma.
Correct. He is the Paramatma or the Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So that is whom we are going to talk about in the second chapter of second canto. So that means Virat Roop meditation should lead to what? Meditating on Paramatma. That is the result. In this way, we are going to see. So the first sloka, what we are seeing is the byproduct of meditating on the Virat Roop. Virat Roop is just a byproduct. Okay, this is not the main thing. The main thing is the main product of Virat Roop meditation is cleaning of the heart. That is the main result. What is the secondary result or the side result one will get? That means, say for example, Brahmaji will get his knowledge by creating getting to create the secondary creation by meditating on the Virat. This is the thing. Okay, so we need to understand that Virat Roop meditation is not like the meditation that everybody would. That is not the final, right? Antaryami meditation is the final. That's one point. Okay, and then Srila Prabhupada says the example herein of Sri Brahmaji is one of forgetfulness. Brahmaji is the incarnation of mundane attributes of the Lord. Being the incarnation of passion mode of material nature, he is empowered by the Lord to generate this beautiful material manifestation. Again, if you go to the third canto, 20th chapter, you will understand what all Brahmaji does there. He creates various things. For example, Brahmaji will create avidya. Then he will create, Chatushkumaras. Then after that, Rudras. After that, various sages. And then he will understand, oh my God, I created many things, but nobody is helping me expand this creation. I want somebody who could expand this creation for me. Because Chatushkumaras, they said no. And Rudras, they were destroying. They were responsible for annihilation. How can they create? No. The various sages, they all wanted to be yogis. So they said, no, we are not going to help you with any sort of creation. And then Brahmaji is now desperately looking for people who could expand this creation, who will give rise, who give birth to human beings. This way he wanted to expand. And that is when he gave birth to Swayambhu Manu. He said, yeah, I'll follow the instructions of Brahmaji, and he expanded the whole creation. That's why we are all here, right? Manu, we are all the descendants of Manu. That is why Manavas or human beings. Like this, various creations he did. This is spoken in which canto? Third canto, 20th chapter. Then when he talked about Sattvic things, what Sattvic qualities, Devatas were created. When there is Rajas that is affected in his mind, Rakshasas came. And when there is a thought of Tamoguna, then came the Asuras. Like this, Kinnaras, Kimpurushas, Pitru Devatas, all of them we will see in the third canto, 20th chapter. This is all Brahmaji's creation. He is one of the Guna avatars. So there is one Purusha who is the Supreme Lord, and he took three forms. What are the three forms? Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. For the purpose of creation, maintenance and annihilation. So by Rajas, Sattva and Tamas. So that's why Brahmaji's body is made out of passion. And if you worship Brahmaji, what is going to happen? Passion will increase in you. It's not auspicious. Worshipping Brahmaji is not auspicious. Worshipping Brahmaji as the Supreme Person, that is not auspicious. You understand? So because Brahma and Shiva, they don't have that Sakshat Parabrahmatvam in them. That means they are not Shamshas directly. Parabrahmatvam is not there. Bhagavatvam is not there directly in them. That's why worshipping them is not going to increase your Sattva Guna. On top of that, Rajas and Tamas will increase. So by this, what will happen? You'll not get into liberation. You are not going to come out of this material world. So by worshipping them, you are going to be affected by Rajas and Tamas only. So whoever, I mean, if you see people who are worshipping Brahma and Shiva, they will have the same nature as them. They'll also be affected by Rajas and Tamas. So that is why they'll be more so affected by the modes. Shiva Vigraha is out of Tamas. So that's why, why whoever is affected by Tamas, whoever is influenced by Tamas, they will be attracted to Lord Shiva and they would start worshipping him. So what is the reason? For getting wealth, for getting name, for getting fame, so on and so forth. These are the few reasons why they worship the demigods. And who will worship Vishnu? Whoever is in the mode of goodness, desiring liberation, they will worship Vishnu. So Vishnu is the attractive form of the Lord. And Brahma and Shiva worship is not recommended. We know, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned demigod worship, watering the roots. Who's the root? Supreme Lord is the root, and that is none other than our Lord Krishna. They worshipping the demigods, we've seen in different themes in Gita, Bhagavatam, that is not recommended form of worship. Okay, so now 2.3.10 talks about Akama Sarva Kamova, that verse. Whatever you want, you worship Vishnu. This sloka talks about a point that Tivrena Bhakti Yogena. So Sukadeva Goswami is emphasizing you should worship Vishnu. So Brahmaji is also having forgetfulness. See, he quotes this verse to help us understand this point that Brahmaji is also having forgetfulness. After the devastation, he is sleeping for 1000 Mahayugas and everything he is forgetting. In order to recall how to create this creation, he is meditating on the Virat. Right? 12 hours, he will do, of course, Brahmaji does the regular duties because he is also a devotee who's doing some sadhana. So he will do his regular things such as Sandhya Vandanam, and then he will sleep when he winds up the things. So creation is one of his duty. Apart from that, he is also a Vaishnava, like the current Brahmaji, right? So what we need to understand here is the point that, see, Brahmaji is also forgetting, and how he is able to remember? By meditating on the Virat. So we need to understand how Lord's glory is. Lord is the one who is helping him remember, because of which he is able to do secondary creation. This is the point, dear devotees, that we need to understand from verse 1. Always try to see every verse of Bhagavatam is definitely going to talk about the glories of the Lord. And then he says, as soon, and the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, as soon as this forgetfulness is removed, as mentioned here in Gita, they ascertain the knowledge of the living being leads to the loving service of the Lord, which the living being requires. The kingdom of Lord is unlimited, and therefore the number of assisting hands of the Lord is also unlimited. So Prabhupada is saying, by meditating on the Virat, and in the previous purpose also he will say that one will revive his relationship with the Supreme Lord actually. So this is the point we have heard. This means that the expansion of different parts and parcels called jivas or the living entities are assisting the hands of the Lord, and all of them are meant for rendering a particular pattern of service to the Lord. The condition, so even in the position of Brahma, forgets this influence by the influence of material energy generated out of false ego. One cannot counteract such false ego by invoking, one can counteract such false ego by invoking God consciousness. So what is the point that Srila Prabhupada is making? Everyone is having a chance to forget from Brahma to Ant. So that's why everyone is given a chance to revive their forgetful state by meditating on the Lord, so that they know who they are. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada also brings up the point to say that in the Brahman state, we don't perform any service. So that point he brings up. So the jiva's natural tendency is there is katrutvam, there is jnatritvam and bhoktrutvam. These are the qualities. Katrutvam is there in every jiva. There is a natural propensity of the jiva. By going to the Brahman state, what is going to happen is all these tendencies will be suppressed. Like service, performing service, it's a very natural tendency of this jivatma. By going into Brahman, we'll be in a state where we don't perform any kind of service to the Lord. So that is why devotees, they don't want to reach the state of Brahman. They feel it's worse than hell. So this is the reason. So Prabhupada just concludes with that. This is the first verse. So you have to see the link here, devotees. So there is a link here to say, see, someone may question, oh, can you tell me about someone who's meditated on the Virat Roop and achieved success? There may be a question, right? Previously, Brahmaji recreated this universe by meditating on Virat Roop. So the answer to this question, if you see, what is the question that was posed by Parikshit Maharaj in the 19th chapter of first canto? What should a dying man do? Some sages, they may recommend karma for attaining Swarga as approved in the Vedas. Now, Sukadev Goswami is giving his opinion about what is the duty of what should the dying man do? That is going to be given by Shukadev Goswami. Now, in the second verse, second to seventh verse, if you look at it, it is mainly talking about karma kanda being rejected and the path of liberation is being glorified. This is the theme, dear devotees. Please keep the theme in mind and please keep the linkage. Now, if you were to ask if did somebody achieve success by doing this Virat Roop meditation, then there is a relevance of Brahmaji. Yes, Brahmaji, you know what? He, after annihilation, he forgot everything about creation. And he was able to remember about creation only by meditating on the Virat Roop. So there are definitely some success stories that we could relate to. And this is one of the proofs. And then second to seventh verse, what does it talk about? It talks about karma kanda being rejected. So this is what we'll be seeing, and path of liberation is going to be glorified, dear devotees. Hope it makes sense. I'm trying to connect, but how far it gets to you, I don't know if I'm communicating it properly, but I'll try my best. Okay, now second verse. The second verse talks about, Srila Prabhupada's purport talks about the way of presentation of Vedic sounds is so bewildering that it directs the intelligence of people to meaningless things like heavenly kingdoms. The conditioned souls hover in dreams of such heavenly illusory pleasures, but actually they do not relish any tangible happiness in such places. Now, Parikshit had some questions and Sukadev Goswami is answering them. Then after that, he explained what is Kirtan and he also explained what is Smaran. Then after that, someone is not able to do that. Then he is asking, okay, I'm not able to do the Smaran of the Lord. That is because you are affected by Rajas and Tamas. So you start meditating on this auspicious object. Then Parikshit asked, what is that auspicious object? He said it is Virat. Then he explained the whole process of Virat Roop meditation. And finally, he says, oh, after this perfection of Virat Roop meditation, one should meditate on the Antaryami of the Virat. And what is the side product of meditating on the Virat? One will regain their intelligence. Like how Brahmaji, he is regaining his intelligence to construct the secondary creation. This is the secondary byproduct of Virat Roop meditation. What is going to do to you? Virat Roop meditation will help you regain your intelligence. See, Brahmaji, he forgot, but he was able to remember through meditating on the Virat, because of which he will be able to do secondary creation. Now, Vedas are talking about karma kand. This sloka is telling about what? It is telling about Vedas. See, Vedas are talking about karma kand, and they are unnecessarily publishing the fact that karma kanda is good and it has its result. There is one of the sentences in the Vedas which talks about yajet swarga kamaha. And what is it saying? If you desire to go to heaven, you should worship the devatas. It is describing about, the process of attaining the heaven, Swarga. It means if this is what you should do, then you should do the Devata worship. So why is Veda saying this? Why is Veda saying all these facts? Because these innocent people, they are attracted by the flowery words of the Vedas and they are running behind it. This is the second verse. The point in the second verse is Vedas are telling very, very flowery words, very attractive things like Swarga. Do Ashwamedha Yajna, you will become a Chakravarti, you will become an emperor. Do this yajna, you will get a powerful child. Do this putra kameshti yajna, very, very powerful child you're going to get. Like this, many, many yajnas are described. If you want a whole wealth of this whole earth, then perform this yajna. Like this, all these things are described in the Vedas, and by and by hearing those, the innocent people, they want to attain it, and they want to perform the activities that are being told about in the Vedas. They are meditating on it and they are trying for it, and ultimately, what are they getting? They get na artha. That means they don't get any benefit. Vedas are telling this. So the point of the second verse is that Vedas are talking about all these benefits that Karma Kanda gives you. Do this yajna, do that yajna. This is the benefit, attractive things it's bringing up. But at the end of the day, when innocent people start meditating on that things that are being told about in the Vedas, which are very flowery words, do they get any benefit? They don't get any benefit. So now one may ask, what is the connection? What are you trying to tell, Mataji? Why all of a sudden you are talking about Karma Kanda here? Why? Can we speculate on this? No, we are not supposed to speculate. Acharyas are giving us an answer. Why Karma Kanda is being spoken about in this verse? Why all of a sudden Karma Kanda is being talked about? Sridhar Swami is making a connection. Acharyas only can make a connection. So he's saying, many people do upasanas of the devatas. Many people worship different demigods or different devatas. And Sukadev Goswami is saying here, you should not be attracted by the results of those. If you are attracted by the results of these, then you will not be able to meditate. Your heart, then if you're not attracted for these things, then you're able to meditate. Your heart is pure and you can meditate on Paramatma. That is the correlation. Are you able to understand, dear devotees? See, we are talking about meditating on Paramatma. For you to be meditating upon Paramatma, you need to obviously not be attracted to the Swarga or other things that is being spoken in the Vedas, which is going to give pleasure to you. If you are not attracted by this, then you are eligible. This is why Karma Kanda is spoken about in the second verse of second chapter. Are you able to get this point? Let me know, because this is a very important point which you all need to understand. You're able to understand why Karma Kanda is being spoken about. This is because this person who is going to meditate on the Paramatma, he should not be attracted by the flowery words of the Vedas. Oh, do this yajna, do that yajna. No, he's not attracted. So he has no attraction. That means his heart is pure. When his heart is pure, he becomes then eligible to meditate on Paramatma. That is why Karma Kanda is being spoken here, dear devotees. That's the understanding. So that means he is telling who's the adhikari for meditating on the Paramatma. If you want to meditate on Paramatma, your heart should be purified. So by worshipping, this is why it's being spoken, to establish this point. This shloka is being spoken. So Sukadev Goswami is clarifying in the whole assembly to everyone that Veda statement is, obviously Vedas are trying to say Karma Kanda, and Veda is saying you will go to Swarga. So when you do this yajna, you will be going to Swarga. But, will a person who wants to meditate on the Antaryami of the Virat, would he be interested in going there? No, that is being rejected here. If he wants to meditate, he will not be attracted to the flowery words of the Vedas, and because his heart is pure. That is what is the point, which is being clarified in verse number 2. And then there is a quotation of verse number 8.16 from Bhagavad Gita, which talks about the worthlessness of innumerable planets in this world. It also talks about, different people who leave the body, they go to different planets, as well as the planets within the other systems. There are innumerable universes, innumerable planets in each of them, but none of them is going to give you freedom from birth, death, old age, and disease. You can go to topmost planet like Brahmaloka and or the Satyaloka. It is not a happy place, so as to speak, due to the presence of material pangs. This is the point Srila Prabhupada brings. So in this material world, if you were to go to there are innumerable number of planets, but if you go there, are you going to get pleasure? No, you're not going to get there, because there is birth, death, old age, and disease. Once your punya is done from Swarga, you have to come back to this earthly planet. So that is why this conditioned souls, they are strictly bound by the fruitive laws or fruitive activities. And as such, sometimes going up to Brahmaloka and coming to Patala Loka, they may just go like a merry-go-round. Prabhupada says the real happiness is the kingdom of God, where you don't have to undergo any pangs of material existence. Therefore, Vedic ways of fruitive activities for living entities are misleading, he says. So that is why Vedic statements are misleading us, and we should understand this. But why these Vedic statements are being told? Okay, eventually after a point, he will understand what is the topmost goal of the Vedas. It is meant to elevate people, but people go in the path of degradation and they are being misled like that. You need to understand the Vedic statements are the means. It talks about the means to going to Swarga, means to going to Pitruloka, Yanti Deva, Vrata Devan. So going to these different planets is rejected actually, because obviously we don't pray. Prabhupada talks about we need to build up Shraddha towards the Lord and worship the Lord. And if you are having Shraddha to the demigods, that's not the right thing to do. So the demigods, they also get the benefits to demigod worshipper by getting it from the Lord. Lord gives them, and that's how they give it to the person, whoever is worshipping the demigods. Lord gives the benefits that is being asked. It's not the demigods giving directly. They are not able to take care of their own followers. Definitely. So on all the planets that they go to, the demigod worshippers, they are all perishable. They are also having a limitation. So that is why there is no need to worship the devatas. You have to worship the Lord. And that is why personal form of the Lord's meditation is recommended here. So some portions of the Vedas are saying this, some portions of the Vedas are saying that. What is the need of saying this? Because, as I told you, they ultimately, one has to get Shraddha towards the Lord. Ultimately, this person who understands the flowery words of the Vedas eventually will understand what is the topmost conclusion of the Vedas. But instead of gradual progression, if you are going to degrade by following that flowery words, then that leads to a path of degradation. That's the point. So this is the second verse, dear devotees. And third verse, and I mean all the other verses also talk about what? Rejection of karma kanda. We will try to see that in the next class. But before that, we will understand what this 8th verse is. Okay, 8th verse. See, now we are talking about who? The meditation on Antaryami. That is why where he is residing, this Antaryami resides in the region of the heart. And then what is the size? It is 8 inches. That is the Paramatma. And 4 hands are carrying. What are the 4 hands of the Paramatma carrying? That is being expressed in the verse. So the Dharanashreya for the advanced yogi is being talked about, which is the super soul. He resides in where? He resides in the heart. He is 8 inches in size. And what does he carry in his hands? That is being talked about in the 8th verse. So if you look at the 8th verse, Srila Prabhupada talks about the point that others conceive of the personality of Godhead residing within the body in the region of the heart and measuring only 8 inches with 4 hands carrying the lotus, a wheel of chariot, a conch shell and cup respectively. So he says, yeah, the all-pervading supreme personality of Godhead, he resides in the heart of a living entity as Paramatma. And how he is measured? Not more than 8 inches. The form of the Lord, what all he is carrying? Lotus, wheel, chariot and conch shell. And he is called Janardana. There are many forms of the Lord situated in various situations of the lotus, conch shell and are differently known by different names. That is also mentioned. The 24 forms of the localized personality of Godhead are worshipped in different parts of the planetary system, and each system there is an incarnation of the Lord having different Vaikuntha planet in the spiritual side, which is Param Vyoma. There are many 100 scores of different forms of the Lord, and each of them has a particular planet in spiritual sky which is the material, and of which material sky is just only a fragmental offshoot. The Lord exists as Purusha, the male enjoyer, although there is no one comparing to him to any male form in this material world. Purusha means he is the ultimate enjoyer. We think we are all Purushas, but we are not the Purusha. He is the Purusha. And this is being spoken. So basically, the super soul, the Dharanashraya for the advanced detached yogi is going to be talked about from 8th to 12 verses, dear devotees. The description of the super soul. How is the super soul look, and what are all the descriptions, like what are the ornaments they are going to be wearing, the paraphernalia, what are the different names, all that will be spoken in the 8 to 12 verses, dear devotees. So with this, I think we can conclude. I'll just open the forum for questions, and then we go from there. I'll try to explain the other verses also probably in the next class, consolidate it and probably tell you so you're able to get the gist. So the next few verses will talk about, the lotus feet of the Lord and the chest of the Lord, that is Kaustuba, and the other jewels. What are the ornaments he is wearing? All that will be spoken about the Antaryami, the super soul. This is what the advanced yogi meditates upon. So with this, we will conclude. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripasindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, our Acharya and Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for this wonderful session, for recapping most of the verses what we have covered in the previous weeks. I open up the session for question and answers. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for praying for the Sadgati of my dear mother-in-law. I am really indebted. All the powerful Vaishnavas in this group, I'm sure with all your blessings, she will attain the lotus feet of the Lord. She did die a very glorious death. But before we go on to that, Mataji, I have two questions. The first one about Karma Kanda. So, we have been told that, perform this yagna and you will attain a son, or perform this and you will get your daughter married and things like that. So do we do that or we don't do that? We don't do that because we know that all that is just flowery language of the Vedas. But as we live in this materialistic world, do we perform all those things or no?
No, Mataji. That's why akama sarvakama va mokshakama udarati. Whatever you want, you ask Krishna directly. You don't have to go to demigods and ask them this, I want this, I want that. Just ask Krishna directly. If you have some material desires, perfectly fine, no problem. You just ask Krishna. And Krishna will, he will change your desire also sometimes. But, this is what happens. When you start worshipping Krishna, other things become so... eventually you will feel, oh, why did I, like Dhruva, he had this desire of getting kingdom. But then when he saw the Lord, how cheap I was, it's like asking for a broken glass when there is diamond in front of me. So that's what would happen to a devotee eventually. But if you have that desires, definitely ask Krishna, no problem. So if you want a good son, a good grandson, whatever, you just ask Krishna, no problem. I want a good son-in-law, no problem, ask him. He's ready to do anything for us. I want my grandson to become a devotee. Let's pray for it to Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mataji. Now, we've understood that Brahma is full of passion, but our Sampradaya is Brahma Gaudiya Sampradaya. So why are we following Brahma?
So Brahma...
Would that not increase our passion, or because we are following...
No. So about Brahmaji, so the thing is, we are talking about it from a Gunavatar perspective as to what they are doing and what each one is responsible for, and worshipping them as the supreme person. That's the point here. We are not talking about worshipping or giving respect to Brahmaji as an Acharya, right? he again, our Brahmaji is a pure devotee of the Lord. He is a Vaishnava and he has this responsibility of creation as well. And whenever we are talking about pure devotees, what is the point I mentioned? The principle of pure devotion is never broken. Even though they are doing this creation, his chanting of the glories of the holy names of the Lord will never be interrupted because he is a pure devotee of the Lord. Creation is his responsibility, but Dhruva also had this responsibility of maintaining kingdom. But never a point he became a pure devotee and he was never interrupted with that pure devotion. So we are talking about people who are parinishta bhaktas. Parinishta means they have a material responsibility, but that material responsibility does not deter them from performing this act of pure devotion. There is no breakage, there is no stopping. But for us, when we do our material work, our devotion is stopped. That is the difference. A pure devotee means his devotion is never stopped, never interrupted 24/7. It is always there. And we are talking about not worshipping Brahmaji as the supreme person. He is not the supreme person. Shiva is not the supreme person. This is the point Srila Prabhupada is trying to tell us over and over. When you consider and worship them as the supreme person, then definitely Rajas will increase and Tamas will increase. Because they are not. They are not Swamshas. They are not supreme. You are able to understand this point?
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you very much, Hari Govind Prabhu. I hand over to you. I think Indulekha Mataji has a question.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Thank you for the nice class. Very well explained. So it's kind of climbing the stairs, one step by one step. And
Hare
it's
Krishna,
very nice.
Indulekha Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, thank you. So we see like Mataji is asking if we pray to the demigod, what will happen? If we pray, it's not correct. But if we pray to Krishna will also see. Sometimes we ask for something, right? Krishna will see, is that going to be beneficial for you? Are you going to be puffed up? Are you going to have to divert your mind? So he will give you what is correct for you, what is right for you. He will not give you whatever you want. But we cannot ask, okay, give me this. And then he sees further down the road, there will be something wrong happening. So he doesn't give. But the demigods, they don't see that. They give whatever you ask for. That is one point. Also, we see Mataji in this scenario here, all the great sages, they came to see Parikshit Maharaj. And but my question was, it is always, but I do understand that they were present there. But they were not able to tell Parikshit Maharaj what to do. Because when he asked, what is my immediate duty? None of them, so many great sages, they were not able to tell. Only Sukdev Goswami was able to tell. So, and Srila Prabhupada said in the purport that these great sages, they were all cognizant in Vedic knowledge and they were self-realized souls. But why they did not, they could not go back to Godhead. They have come from around the universe just to see Parikshit Maharaj going. This is a very rare event, as Prabhupada said. But here we should know that these great sages, they did not do bhakti yoga. They did not practice bhakti yoga. That's why they could not go. So that's why they were all here and they could not give Parikshit Maharaj the right answer. So that was my realization for Mataji. Thank you so much. Nice class. As usual, I cannot miss it. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for beautiful points that you bring about every class. Totally appreciated. Hare Krishna. All
Hare
glories to
Krishna.
you.
All glories to you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for the wonderful question. And then thank you, Mataji, for answering. Hare Krishna, I request, if we have exhausted the time, I request all the devotees to unmute and then chant Hare Krishna mantra, Mahamantra once in glorification of Her Grace Radhika Kasturi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Kalpataruvyasya
kripa
kripasindhubhyaiva cha patitanam
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo
Vaishnavibhyo
Namo
namo
Namaha.
Srila
Grantharaj
Prabhupada
Madhav
ki
ki jai,
jai.
Prabhupada ki jai,
All glories to
Anantapurna
the assembled
Sindhu.
devotees, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj.
Sarve
Hare
Datta
Krishna.
Mataji ki jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Radhika
Thank you,
Mataji, can
Mataji.
you
Hare
stay
Krishna.
on for a minute?
Yes. I'm here.
Everybody can stay on, but I just wanted to speak to Mataji. Arya Govind Prabhu, if you can stop the recording.
Yes,
Prabhu.
Mataji.
Yeah, but you can stay on.
Uh,
I just wanted to tell Mataji about my mother-in-law. But you can stop the recording and then I can start.
Is it okay, Mata?